September 30th, 2003, a 31-year-old man by the name of Antoine Yates was rushed to Harlem Hospital Center in New York City. Antoine, a part-time taxi driver, had bite marks in his right leg and his right forearm, claiming that it was a pit bull that inflicted these wounds. People at the hospital and authorities were skeptical. An investigation would be launched. Police would also get tips about Antoine's exact address. Complaints were also made about Antoine's apartment in the past, which was located at the Drew Hamilton Houses, a public housing complex in Harlem. Antoine's apartment was on the 5th floor, and residents complained about a smell coming from Antoine's apartment in the past, but nothing was done. But by October 3rd, that would change. Police would show up to the apartment, spoke to a neighbor, and also listened to the apartment for any activity on the inside, and they would then hear roaring. Yes, roaring.
What the shit?
The police would then go next door and then drill holes through the wall. And they would also go to the 4th floor apartment and use a periscope camera to look up through the window of the 5th floor. And through the holes in the wall and through that camera, what would they see? A 450-pound Siberian Bengal tiger sitting there, chilling in the apartment. It was now game on. Authorities would waste no time. The NYPD was now tasked with getting that animal out of the project building. And Detective Martin Duffy will be the man tasked with taking the shot. They figured barging into the apartment would be too dangerous, so they decided to descend from above, rappelling out of the 7th floor window down to the 5th. Detective Duffy would make his way down to the 5th floor, where Yates' apartment was located.
It was lowered from the 7th floor down to the 5th floor.
Dozens of neighbors gathered as Duffy began his descent.
I heard the tiger roar when I was like halfway down, and it was definitely a little unnerving.
While hanging by a single rope, Duffy took aim and fired a dart through the window bars.
I took the shot. I hit him.
It was at this very moment, photographer John Rocca would snap this infamous photo. The Duffy made the shot, he would be lowered, and he would then head right back up to the 5th floor. The tiger's name was Ming, and Ming wasn't alone. Keeping him company was a 5-foot-long alligator named Al. Ming would eventually go to sleep after being further sedated, this time by injection, and the authorities would use this time, of course, to quickly remove Ming. It would take at least 6 men to carry a sedated Ming out of the project building. Now, some would ask, how in the hell does a 400-pound tiger end up in the projects in the first place? Well, Antoine Yates is a guy who always loved animals. Ever since he was a child, he also had dreams of owning his own zoo. And as he aged, he owned creatures like a squirrel monkey, boa constrictors and pythons. And around the year 2000, Antoine Yates, who's 100% in over his head, became more audacious. Now, you can't just go buying tigers. You have to prove that you have land, and secure land at that, with heavy-duty fencing, and that you're able to maintain and sustain such powerful animal or animals if you're buying multiple, which Antoine didn't have the resources to do, but he wasn't going to let that stop him.
Like, we used to go to this pet shop in Jersey that had rare stuff. We deal with them type of people, and they give us numbers to call. Then we get on the internet, and then we found the lady in Minnesota. We just went out there and talked to the lady, and she had like acres and stuff. She had bears, she had tigers, she had lions, she had ligers. It's a tiger and lion mix. We worked together, showed that he had land and stuff like that. He fooled the lady.
He actually bought multiple baby cubs, lion and tiger cubs, but eventually he would return them, not being able to upkeep them, except for Ming, claiming that he and Ming had a special bond. So he kept Ming and did his very best to maintain him, feeding him roughly 20 pounds of chicken every day. And Ming would grow tall and strong. He would be over 7 feet tall and 450 pounds roughly. And for the next couple of years, Ming went undetected. Yes, undetected. A full-grown Bengal tiger was sitting in the projects for almost 2.5 years. Now, obviously, he wasn't the only person who knew about the tiger. His brother knew about the tiger as well.
What does he got upstairs? Does he got an arsenal with guns? A grenade or something? I mean, what could he possibly have? And me being me, I'm, acting cocky. I walks over to the room. I looks in the door. All I see is one eye. Yo, his eye looked like almost like the size of a pool ball. But it was shining. It was like a bright color. I jumped back. I said, yo, what you doing with this? He like, yo, I told you, man. This is serious. I said, nah, man, this is beyond serious. This is crazy.
And later, come to find out, his mom also knew about the tiger. So there was people who knew about it. And in my personal opinion, people who live right above him and below him, they had to know about the tiger too. Because the tiger was known to be at the window. So, I mean, I've never lived in the projects, but I've been in the projects. I've been to the projects in New York City. And if you're by a window or next to a window, whatever is going on right above you or right below you, and if somebody's by the window or something's by the window, you're gonna know it. You're gonna hear it. There ain't no way a full-grown tiger was roaring out that window and nobody knew. Nobody wasn't hearing it. Just my opinion. And there were complaints about noise and urine coming from Antoine's apartment. Either way, the tiger was there for 2.5 years, and everything was cool up until one day a stray cat showed up. Antoine found a little black alley cat, and Antoine took the cat in. And while that cat was in there, Ming would see this cat, this little black cat, and Antoine come to name Shadow, randomly walking in the apartment, and Ming would flip the hell out. According to Antoine, Ming was in full attack mode, chasing Shadow through the apartment, and Antoine would then jump in front of Ming, trying to save Shadow. And that's when Ming would bite him about the body, in the arm and leg. And that's what led to him being rushed to the hospital that day.
I chose to put my love for animals out there. These are dangerous, predatorial animals that strive on instinct. And you have to be able to curb the instinct, or at least understand it, in order to say, you know what? I have to get my leg out of his mouth.
I mean, you could take a tiger out of his natural habitat, but it's still a goddamn tiger. See, people don't really understand, like, tigers are not to be played with. They're notoriously aggressive. And out of all big cats, they actually are the strongest and most powerful. And they grow larger than all the rest of them. Some of them getting up to almost 700 pounds, especially Siberian tigers, who are notoriously territorial and super powerful and will kill on sight. And out of all big cats, tigers kill the most people annually and historically have killed the most people out of all big cats. Just think about that for a second. That's crazy. Now, Ming, 400-pound tiger, and grew up with Antoine, ain't no Siberian tiger and is mild-mannered, but he's still a goddamn tiger. My point. You know what I'm saying? You could never fully domesticate these animals. Never. All it takes is one little something to trigger them off, like in this case. And next thing you know, they right back to being what they were supposed to be, what they are the whole goddamn time, a fucking tiger. Now, this is one of the most extreme cases of someone privately owning a tiger, but this is actually more common than you think. Now, in Anton's case, obviously not common. This is the projects. A tiger shouldn't be in the goddamn projects, yes. But tigers being owned privately in the United States is very common. Fun fact, the United States lead in private ownership of tigers, with there being roughly 5,000 to 10,000 estimated tigers held in private facilities across the United States. And when I say private facilities, I'm talking about roadside zoos, sanctuaries, and individuals. Yes, individuals. There are a lot of people like Antoine. The only difference is they got a big backyard, they got a big house, and they got enough money and funds to maintain and sustain these tigers without it becoming a whole goddamn incident. And also living in the right state helps. In 2022, the Big Cat Act was introduced. This was a law that was passed prohibiting possession, breeding, importing, selling, and transportation of big cats, such as lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, cheetahs, cougars, and hybrids like ligers and tigers. Now, existing owners were grandfathered, meaning if you had these animals prior to the law being passed, you were allowed to keep them, but you had to register them. Remember that one show on Netflix years back, Tiger King, with Joe Exotic? And a crazy broad, what's her name, Carol Baskin?
Thing is, I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married. Thank God. It's finally legal in America. I've had some kinky sex. I have tried drugs through the younger years of my life. I am broke as shit. I have a judgment against me from some bitch down there in Florida.
If somebody wanted to kill you, then they would put like sardine oil all over you, something that the cat wants to eat.
You see, people like this is the reason why that law was passed in the first place. There's way more Joe Exotics and Carol Baskins out here than you would think.
I'm Joe Exotic, and don't forget, I am now stepping my foot in the ring to run for president.
Well, minus the murder accusations and people shooting themselves and all that crazy shit. If you've never watched Tiger King, I suggest you do. When the Ming incident took place in Harlem, it was in October of 2003. And as if that wasn't enough tiger news at the time, that same month, Roy Horn, an animal handler and a member of the Siegfried and Roy duo, was mauled by a 380-pound white tiger named Montecore during a live Las Vegas performance on October 3rd, 2003. Only a day after, on October 4th, Ming would make headlines as well. Roy Horn, who was left partially paralyzed, stated that the tiger was actually trying to help him after he suffered a stroke, and that Montecore, the tiger, was trying to drag him off the stage, which the tiger did do, but dragging him by his neck, causing severe injury. Some of it, despite rehabilitation, was permanent. Roy claimed the tiger was trying to help, but investigators and trainers stated that Montecore simply just got irritated and attacked Roy and didn't let up until he actually got hit with a fire extinguisher. Whether he had that stroke before or after he was attacked is irrelevant. Either way, the tiger got tired of his bullshit and attacked him. I'm no animal expert, but you tell me which theory makes more sense. The tiger just got tired of Roy and his shit and attacked him, or he was trying to help him. 2011, Zanesville, Ohio, a suicidal Vietnam vet by the name of Terry Thompson was set free 50 of his 56 exotic animals before committing suicide.
Yeah, there's a lion on Mount Perry Road in Gray Shot.
I'm pretty sure, and I just saw a wolf.
I think I just seen one. It looks like a jaguar or a wolf or something.
A kind of deadly safari in the suburbs of Ohio today. As more than 50 lions, Bengal tigers, and bears roamed the streets, residents locking their homes, children kept behind closed doors. The animals were unleashed on the town by a suicidal man who kept them in his backyard, and ABC's David Curley spent the day following this inconceivable story and the animal scouts who had to track wild prey in Zanesville, Ohio.
These animals were lions, bears, wolves, and, you guessed it, tigers. 18 Bengal tigers. Out of all the animals, the tigers were the majority. Now this was a case of emergency. This wasn't a Ming situation. The order came down. It was shoot to kill. And that's exactly what the police force did. Over 49 animals were slaughtered. The police had no time to waste. The following year, Ohio's General Assembly passed a bill which banned the selling, trading, and ownership of exotic animals by private citizens. Hell, not too long ago, 2022, Dallas rapper Trap Boy Freddy, his house would be raided. And what would authorities find? A baby tiger just chilling in the crib. It will be taken and turned over to Dallas Animal Services. As of right now, there's thousands of tigers all across the United States. And even though there is laws being passed to limit and control the possession of these big cats, best believe these tigers ain't going nowhere. Americans love tigers, man, and this tiger shit ain't gonna stop. After the discovery of Ming, Antoine Yates will be charged with reckless endangerment and possession of a wild animal. His mother would also be charged with endangering the welfare of a child, because at one point she had been babysitting kids at the apartment while Ming was there. Antoine would take a plea deal, and to reduce the charges against his mom, he would plead guilty to reckless endangerment and just accept his time. He'd only get a 5-month sentence and 5 years probation. He would be released after only serving 3 months. You would think Antoine would call it a day and chill and just enjoy his freedom. No sir. Tiger Man, as he was now dubbed by everybody in New York City, would then sue the city for the loss of his pets, including a rabbit and $7,000 cash, which he claimed was in the apartment when the police came up there and took Ming. A judge dismissed the case, stating that Antoine was full of chutzpah. I ain't never heard that one before, but I guess that's a Jewish way of saying bold as hell, audacious, chutzpah. Antoine now lives in Philadelphia with a variety of exotic animals, but nothing as big as his old friend Ming, and I think that's for the best. Ming was relocated to a sanctuary in Ohio, and Al the alligator was placed in a home in Indiana. Ming the tiger would eventually die in 2019, after everybody said he lived a pretty good life. Oh, and something worth mentioning. When Ming was in Harlem, in the projects, right across from Antoine's apartment was an old folks home. Across the street, for years, some of the old folks would say that they're seeing a tiger. Nobody ever believed them. Everybody thought it was just some old people talking crazy.
And I'm walking with my children's mother, and I happened to look up, and he's looking outside. My kid's mother like, yo, look at him. I'm like, oh man. And right across the street from us is an old folks home. And when it's hot out, they just want to sit in the window and just look at everything and get a breeze. They happen to look and see him. And they would say, yo, I seen a tiger. Like, you seen a tiger? Ain't no tiger out here, man. What you talking about? There ain't no tiger out here, man. You know what I'm saying? They thought they were crazy. They thought they were actually crazy.
Turned out, they wasn't crazy at all.